At the end of this topic, you will be able to list micro and macronutrients, discuss the role of manure and fertilizer, classify the types of fertilizers, distinguish fertilizers from manures. Plants require a number of nutrients for their growth and development. They get nutrients from air, water, and soil. On the basis of the nutrients need of the plant, it is classified into macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients are elements that are needed in large quantities for growth of the plants. They are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and iron. Elements which are needed by the plants in very small quantities are called micronutrients. They are manganese, copper, molybdenum, zinc, boron, and chlorine. Manure is an organic substance by the decomposed substances process of plant and animal wastes. Compost can be prepared by using earthworms to speed up the process of decomposition. This is called vermicomposting technique. Green manures are made available by mulching and ploughing the leguminous plants like sun hemp or cluster bean to enrich the soil with nitrogen and phosphorus. Uses of manure. It enhances the water holding capacity of the soil. It increases the number of friendly microbes, and it improves the soil texture. Fertilizers are commercially produced chemicals used as plant nutrients. They supply nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and so on. They are used to improve good growth of plants. Types of fertilizers. Urea, ammonium phosphate, and ammonium nitrate are examples for nitrogenous fertilizers. Single superphosphate and triple superphosphate are examples for phosphatic fertilizers. Potassium nitrate and potassium chloride are potassic fertilizers. Nitrophosphate, ammonium phosphate, diammonium phosphate are examples for complex fertilizers. Fertilizers may increase the production of crops, but the cost of farming is really high. Fertilizers are water-soluble chemicals, and hence the excess chemicals from the fields are washed away into lakes, ponds, canals, and rivers, leading to the growth of unwanted plants like water hyacinth, algae, and so on. This disturbs the natural ecosystem of water bodies and the living organisms in it. Manure is a natural substance obtained by the decomposition of animal waste like cattle, human, and plant waste. Fertilizer is a chemical compound containing nutrients like sulfur, phosphorus, nitrogen, and so on. Manures are organic substances. Fertilizers are inorganic compounds. Manures can be prepared in fields. Fertilizers are manufactured in factories. Manures contain all nutrients but in small quantities. Fertilizers contain higher quantities of one or more specific nutrients. Manures add plenty of humus to soil and improve the texture of the soil. Fertilizers do not result in the addition of humus to the soil. Manures are not easily absorbed because they are less soluble in nature. Fertilizers are soluble in water and it is easily absorbed. Manures are less soluble, they are not easily washed away from the soil, and hence their effect is long-lasting. Fertilizers are easily washed away by water and hence their effect is of shorter duration and requires repeated application. In this topic, you have learnt elements needed for the growth of the plants in larger quantities are called macronutrients. Elements needed in smaller quantities are called as micronutrients. Manures are organic substances obtained by decomposition of plant and animal wastes. Decomposition of animal and plant waste by using earthworms is called vermicompost. A growing crop that is ploughed under to enrich the soil is called a green manure. Fertilizers may increase the production of crops, but the cost of farming is really high.
At the end of the topic, you will be able to list down the proper precautionary steps to be followed while handling pesticides and insecticides. Discuss the general safety measures before and after handling the pesticides.
Based on the mode of transmission, plant diseases are classified into 4 types. Seed-borne diseases, they spread through seeds. Example, leaf spot of rice, loose smut of wheat. Soil-borne diseases, they spread through the soil. They affect roots and stems in plants. Example, ticca disease of groundnut. Airborne diseases, these diseases are transmitted through air. They attack all aerial parts of the plants like leaves, flowers, and fruits. Example, blast of rice, rust of wheat. Waterborne diseases, The diseases which are transmitted through water are called waterborne diseases. Example, bacterial blight of rice. Based on the mode of attack, insect pests can be classified into 3 types. Chewing insects. They cut and chew the root, stem and leaves of the plants. Examples, grasshoppers and caterpillars. Sucking insects. They suck the cell sap from different parts of the plants. Examples, leafhoppers and aphids. Borer insects. They make holes and enter different parts and feed on plant tissues. Example, sugarcane borer. Pesticides are toxic chemicals that destroy pests. Insecticides. Chemical substances which are used to kill the insects are called insecticides. Example, DDT, dichloro-diphenyl trichloroethane, malathion. Fungicides. Chemicals used to kill fungi are called fungicides. Examples, Bordeaux mixture. Weedicide. Chemical substances which are used to kill weeds are called weedicides. Example, 2,4-D, 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid. Rodenticides. Chemicals used to kill rodents like rats, mice and squirrel are called rodenticides. Example, zinc phosphate, arsenic.
An introduction to safe handling of pesticides. It should be remembered that pesticides and insecticides are hazardous to humans and non-targeted organisms. They cause adverse effects if accidentally or intentionally ingested or in contact with the skin, eye, and other organs of the body. When inhaled while being sprayed, they are dangerous to the respiratory and nervous system of the body. Considering the dangerous effects, it is important that special precautions are needed during transport, storage, and handling. This unit provides basic advice in safe transport, storage, and handling hazardous pesticides and insecticides. Precautions. The label. The labels in the packages need to be checked. The label will be provided in English and also in the local language. Indications mentioned about the content, safety instructions, warnings to be followed, and possible measures if swallowed or in case of contamination should be clearly read and recognized. Safety measures should be followed as recommended in the label. Precautions, storage and transport. Pesticides and insecticides should be stored in a place that is not accessible by children. Avoid storing in a place where it could be mistaken for food or drink. The vehicle used for transport of insecticides and pesticides should not be used to transport food and food-related products. Keep away from sunlight and fire. Precautions. Disposal. The leftover or contaminated can be safely poured in a pit dug in the ground. The pit has to be covered with soil properly. It is not advisable to throw even the empty cans in the drinking water wells, fish ponds, and rivers. Clean paper and cardboards can be burnt if permitted in the label with the help of the elder member. Precautions. Reuse of containers. Reuse of containers is risky and generally not recommended. Sometimes reuse depends on the material inside the package. Therefore, it is advisable to read the label given before washing and reuse. If the label mentions that the chemical is hazardous or extremely hazardous, then it should be completely avoided. To reuse the containers, rinse them in detergent solution at least for 24 hours and wash off. Repeat the process twice. In this topic, you have learned correct use of pesticides at right time and in prescribed dosage destroys the insect pests. Care and precaution need to be taken before and after handling pesticides. Reuse of containers is risky and generally not recommended. If a pesticide is consumed accidentally, the person should be taken immediately to the nearby hospital. At the end of the topic, you will be able to
define hybridization, discuss the types of outbreeding, list the advantages of artificial insemination, outline the importance of hybridization. Hybridization is the method of producing improved varieties by crossing the genes of two or more dissimilar and specially selected parent animals or plants. The parents are selected with desirable qualities and the best characters are brought together in a single variety. Hybridization can be intervarietal, cross between two different varieties; interspecific, cross between two species of the same genus; intergeneric, cross between different genera. Intervarietal hybridization is widely adopted in plant breeding. In maize, hybrids are grown because they give good yields. Modern varieties of maize, wheat, and rice that we consume are all products of hybridization. Some of the characteristics that farmers look for when selecting parent crops or farm animals for hybridization are resistance to diseases, tolerance to climatic conditions, general appearance, size and configuration, productivity, good health, proper age of reproduction. Breeding of animals that are not closely related are called outbreeding. They are classified as is a method that involves breeding from the crossing of animals of the same breed without a common ancestor. Crossbreeding. In this method, superior males of one breed are mated with superior females of another breed. It involves the fusion of two different breeds in order to combine the desirable qualities of both. Interspecific hybridization. In this method, male and female animals of two different species are mated. In some cases, the progeny may combine desirable features of both the parents. For example, mule is produced from a cross between female horse, mare, and male donkey. Mules are sturdier and hardier than their parental species and also are well suited for hard work in different terrains like mountainous regions. There are two methods of interspecific hybridization. Breeding between closely related individuals within the same breed is known as inbreeding. The importance of inbreeding are: it is used as a tool primarily to build desirable genotype and to promote pure breeds with desirable characteristics, to bring undesirable recessive genes to light. This enables the breeder to separate them from the stock. Inbreeding promotes uniformity. Inbreeding associated with selection can produce improved stocks.
disadvantages of breeding. Some of the disadvantages of breeding are: importing live animals is a difficult and costly process. Suitable physiological conditions need to be maintained always. The reproductive and productive capacity of cows is limited. For example, a cow can give birth to a maximum of 8 to 10 calves in its lifetime. Methods adopted to overcome the problems in breeding. To overcome the problems associated with breeding, 3 methods have been developed. 1. Artificial insemination. 2. Superovulation. 3. Embryo transfer technique. All the above methods are used together to obtain a superior breed of animals. Let us discuss each in detail. Artificial insemination. In artificial insemination, semen is collected under sterile and hygienic conditions from bulls and is stored frozen at 196 degrees centigrade in liquid nitrogen. The frozen semen is sent to all artificial insemination centers. When required, the frozen semen is taken out from storage, warmed to room temperature, and introduced into the cow. This process is called insemination. The sperms fertilize the ovum, and in most cases, the cows become pregnant. This method has several advantages. Advantages of artificial insemination. The semen from one bull can be stored and used for approximately 3,000 cows. Small number of bulls is enough to inseminate a large number of cows. The cost involved in purchasing and maintaining bulls is minimized because the number of bulls required is low. Semen can be collected from a bull of one country and transferred to another country in a frozen condition. Superovulation and embryo transfer technique. Cow releases only one ovum in a process called ovulation, which, when fertilized by a sperm, gives an embryo. This embryo develops into a calf. The process of fertilization is a chance process and not a guaranteed process. Efforts are made to obtain more than one ovum from a cow and to make fertilization always successful. For this purpose, cows are injected with a hormone called serum gonadotropin, which is prepared from the blood of pregnant mares. This induces the release of more than one ovum in one cow. This process is called superovulation. After fertilization, the embryos are taken out and transferred to other cows called carrier cows. The embryos develop into calves in the carrier cows. This process is called embryo transfer technique. Using this method, a cow can produce about 4 to 5 calves a year. This method helps in increasing cattle population and helps to maintain good genetic makeup of the livestock. Buffaloes. Buffaloes give more milk than cows and their milk has more fat than the cow's milk. Buffaloes are more resistant to diseases than cows. There are about 7 different breeds of buffaloes in our country: Murrah, Badwari, Jafrabadi, Surti, Mehsana, Nagpuri and Neeli Ravi. Each breed of buffaloes is found in specific regions of the country and they differ in their body, shape, length of horns and in the shape and size of the forehead. Murrah breed has been recognized as the best native milk-yielding breed in our country by the Government of India. It yields about 8 liters of milk per day.
In this topic, you have learned
Hybridization is the method of producing improved varieties by crossing the genes of 2 or more dissimilar and specially selected parent animals or plants. Intervarietal is the cross between 2 different varieties. Interspecific is the cross between 2 species of the same genus, and intergeneric is the cross between different genera. Hybridization involves the application of the principles of genetics and physiology of reproduction. Breeding between closely related individuals within the same breed is known as inbreeding. Artificial insemination provides high-yielding animals with increased production of milk, eggs, and meat.